This is Jason with Chicago News. This week we've got a really interesting 2017 Lexus GSF to try out. One of the things that makes this so interesting is the design. You've got a really aggressive front fascia. There's a really boy racer quality to this. It looks aggressive, it looks like it's ready to go on the track, especially with these big front brakes. I do question though the choice of orange. Maybe not the most refined color palette, but this blue is fantastic. These days manufacturers seem to be putting bigger and bigger diameter wheels on cars. I like that they've stuck with 19-inch wheels here, wrapped in these excellent Michelin Pilot Super Sports. There's a lot of tire contact patch, a lot of sidewall. It makes for a really good handling chassis. As exciting as the styling is around the front, it's really boring out back. Other than this tacked on carbon wing, this is really Camry-like back here, and you know, it just doesn't fit the rest of the design of the car. The side view, the front three-quarter view, all are really exciting and engaging. This leaves you flat. You're probably wondering how this Lexus got right here. It definitely didn't just appear here. We drove it here and we know it's fun to drive, but let me show you. Normally we kind of wait to talk about price until the very end, but I think it's important here to mention the price up front. This test car we're sitting in is over $87,000, and that puts us in a category with a lot of different options. We really need to look at what makes this different than the others. The cool thing, however, is this is a normally aspirated engine, and it's a high revving V8, so it does stuff like this. That is a cool sound. Even with that beautiful sounding of an engine, Lexus has decided that they need a system to pump the sound through the speakers, and we think that's a big mistake. Luckily, they've given a switch to turn it off, which is the first thing we did when we got in here. It just doesn't really need it. The engine sounds great on its own. But what about the luxury part of this? If you're going to spend this much money on a sedan, it better be a luxury sports sedan. It definitely delivers there, probably more than you would expect. When you look at this car, it has a very boy racer, very muscular look to it. It looks all sport, no luxury. But when you get inside, it's almost the opposite. It's extremely comfortable, extremely quiet, great ride quality. Even in some of the higher, more performance modes where you have sport suspension, it's still really comfortable over the bumps. So they've done a great job actually giving you the luxury part of the luxury sports sedan. One of the more confusing things about this car is the design of the interior. Some really great materials that have been chosen. These carbon inserts, this Alcantara material on top of the dash. But in between that, you've got some cheaper feeling plastic. You've got some very Camry-like looking bits up here, and I don't know about you, but if I was spending nearly $90,000 on a sports sedan, I wouldn't want to have anything that would remind me of a Camry. So there's some confusing choices in here. Overall, it's a bit busy as well. It just doesn't have a classic feel on the inside. I get making the interior unique, but what we have here is a car that has a really old school feel to the engine and the chassis. It doesn't have as many of the electronic modes that a lot of newer cars have. It's an old school, normally aspirated engine. So to have this futuristic interior, it doesn't quite fit with the spirit of the car, and then you combine that with the fact that parts of this interior look like they've been pulled from different cars, and it just misses a little bit on the inside. There's lots of different ways that car manufacturers have given us to control the infotainment system. A lot of times it's just a touchscreen, and you've got actually a beautiful large display here in the center. The way you control it though is with this trackpad, and you've got this really odd, complicated arrangement here with an armrest with a little joystick, and honestly I don't know what Lexus is thinking, because it's overly complicated, it's hard to use. This thing skips around all over the place. You've got a combination of a mouse and some buttons. Why not just give us a trackpad? Why not just give us a touchscreen? This is overly complicated for no reason, and it's not very intuitive to use, so negative marks here. There may not be many handling modes. There's no active dampers and that sort of thing. You've got transmission and engine modes, but one cool thing that we've got here is an actual diff setting. You can change the differential. You can put it in a number of different modes and it reacts differently. And overall, it's really kind of wakes this chassis up. And for a 4,100 pound car, this handles really good. Super balanced, great feel. The turn in is precise. The car follows where you want. Feels like a much lighter car. Okay, we've had a chance now to really look at what's on the inside of this Lexus, and although this is a really cool, old school, normally aspirated engine in a really capable chassis that's fun to drive, we just don't think $87,000 is the right price for this car. If it were a little bit lower, this would be right at the top of our list. It's still an interesting car to go check out, but you're really gonna have to love this to pay that price.